Earlier, I spoke to the former Wikileaks employee and now Guardian journalist James Ball. He worked on the documents leaked by Bradley Manning, and I asked him if he felt guilty that Manning is probably facing a lifetime in prison because of information that was published through the organisation he was working for.
Yes and no. I mean, I joined after Manning was already in custody, and I do think overall WikiLeaks did the right thing in publishing the material, even though the source was in prison. It was clear from the chat transcripts that he wanted it out and knew he could face consequences for it. What does concern me is whether more could have been done to protect Manning in advance, and whether this WikiLeaks model of you just submit stuff and then no more contact works. I think it protects WikiLeaks, but does it protect the source? He clearly needed someone to talk to, and it was talking to somebody he shouldn't that got him caught.
WikiLeaks do have some responsibility for the situation he finds himself in?
I think they do. I think it would be unfair to say it's their fault. I think as well, whatever you think of the releases, it's very difficult to look at how Manning's been treated and the sentence he faces and see it as remotely sane or fair. But I wonder whether WikiLeaks should look at how it operates and whether it can provide more support for sources.
Is it because of Bradley Manning that he's been caught, that he's facing such enormous punishment, that people aren't prepared to give material to WikiLeaks anymore?
I suspect it's because people like Bradley Manning are just really quite rare. I mean, people with not only the access, and of course whether he should have had that access is a question, but people who actually have access to it and then have the courage and the ability to see out of the system and actually release it. It's really rare. I mean, I think before Manning, the only one who'd done it on a big scale was Ellsberg with the Pentagon Papers, and 40 years happened between those. You know, I think maybe WikiLeaks just happened to be the outlet for a kind of once-in-a-generation whistleblower.
Bradley Manning has been treated quite harshly by the American authorities, and he's facing an extremely long prison sentence, one assumes, at the end of this trial. He did break the law. Is it right that he should be punished in some way for this?
It feels like the law should have room for acts of conscience. And
even if you're releasing top-secret material and putting it out there on the internet?
Well, he released secret material, but we should also look... It seems very bizarre that the only person facing any kind of criminal proceedings when there's evidence of breach of the Geneva Convention, of sort of torture of sort of criminality in all kinds of countries, not by America necessarily, but other places. It feels very odd Manning is the only person facing punishment. So we also have to look at the systemic problems. You know, why was Manning given access to that much material in the first place? This was an army private. Why did he have access to hundreds of thousands of diplomatic cables? You
say it feels odd that Manning's the only one who's in the dock, given what he revealed in the documents about wrongdoing by other people, but it also feels quite odd, given WikiLeaks' role in all of this, that Manning is the only one who's facing any kind of legal action.
I mean, I have to say, if WikiLeaks faced any prosecution for this, then so should Channel 4 News, so should Dispatches, so should The Guardian, so should The New York Times. It acted as a journalistic organisation in this way.
Do you think Julian Assange cares about what happens to Bradley Manning?
I hope he does. I imagine probably on some level he does. Whether it's his top priority or not, I really doubt. Part of what I worry about is whether sort of WikiLeaks' campaigns for Julian and his extradition to Sweden over sex allegations has overshadowed or distracted from it. You know, in my mind, the sort of Manning case is all about whistleblowing, freedom of expression. This is where I think the focus should be.